Okay, we're going to take roll, and then we're going to go at ease for a minute. Please take roll. Open the roll.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, we're going to stay at ease until Senator Lucas gets back in here, and then we're going to go.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
House Bill 335 from Delegate Gardner is going to go by for the day. Okay, got some bills to re-refer. House Bill 61 from Delegate Wright is going to go to local government. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion and a second to re-refer to local government. Do we need a roll call on that?
Yes, sir. Ayes 13, no zero.
Okay, we need House Bill 107 from Delegate Sullivan is going from to agriculture, conservation, and natural resources. Do I have a motion on that? Yeah. Okay, motion and a second to re-refer House Bill 107 to agriculture, conservation, and natural resources. Open the roll, please.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Okay, Delegate, our House Bill 149 from Delegate Helmer is going to rehabilitation and social services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion and a second. Please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Okay, House Bill 237 from Delegate Alston is going to Senate Finance. Please open the, or do I have a motion on that? Got a motion and a second. Please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
And House Bill 707 from Delegate Maldonado is going to general laws. Do I have a motion on that? Got a motion and a second. Please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Okay, those bills are referred to committees. Now we're going to do the bills that are identical or similar to Senate bills. And first off, we're going to take the bills that are identical. House Bill 1 from Delegate Ward is the minimum wage bill. It's identical to Senator Lucas's bill, passed out of here and passed off the floor on a partisan vote. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A report and re-refer.
Mr. Chairman.
I apologize, yes. To report and re-refer to Senate Finance. All in favor, say aye. Or no, we need a.
You're so intimidated by the lady on your right.
Please.
I'm trying to figure out what we're doing here. Did you say, is it going to
It's
finance?
going to finance.
Okay.
Going to finance.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Okay, Delegate, our House Bill 123 from Delegate Sullivan is identical to 425 from Senator Favola that passed out of here 15-0 and passed out of the Senate floor 40-0. It's a bill that has to do with ethics and fairness in carrier business practices. Do we need more of an explanation on that bill, or do you remember it?
Second.
Motion and a second to report the bill. All in favor, please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
The next one, she might want to change the delegates here. HB1, I'm
Delegate Cohen is. Okay, Delegate Cohen, you might want to amend this bill. It's going to have to go to Senate Finance if it passes here. It's identical to one Senator Pekarsky carried, and it got out of this committee 15-0, but it was carried over in Senate Finance. And I think you want to do something to the bill here?
Yes, sir, Senator. I'm hoping Senate Finance wanted to take the opportunity to see if this tax might impact other agencies. We totally agree that's an awesome idea. However, we're hopeful that we won't penalize the VRE for a year. So our request would be that we put a one-year sunset clause on the bill so that VRE and our taxpayers are able to save the $100,000 in this year while people are looking into seeing if this does impact any other agencies.
We have a motion to second on that amendment?
Yeah, and there's one technical amendment too.
Okay, well, first let's adopt the sunset. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, what's the technical amendment, Tom?
In the title, it says surplus line. It should say surplus lines. So strike line, insert lines.
I don't know about that. I'm against S's.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adding S to lines, the line? Opposed? No. Okay, that amendment's agreed to, 2-1. Okay, I guess we still have a request from finance for the bill, no matter what, but we passed the bill 15-0.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to pass the bill, re-refer it to finance. Please open the roll. Thank you, Delegate.
Thanks so much.
Okay, House Bill 935 from Delegate Levere Bowling was identical to Senate Bill 118 from Senator Luck. It passed out of here 15-0, passed out of Senate Finance 15-0, and passed off the Senate floor 40-0. That is close. But that's Senate Bill 935. Does anybody remember that bill? Okay, that's the bill about dualist services, and we're going to amend it to make it identical.
They are identical currently.
They're identical currently. So we
And
and re-refer. Okay. Please open the roll.
Ayes 14-0.
Okay, the next bill is 1402 from Delegate Reeser.
938.
938, I apologize. 938 from Delegate Levere Bowling. I was shortcutting you there. I apologize for that. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 342 from Senator Bagby. It passed out of this committee on a partisan vote and passed out of Senate Finance 11-4 and out of the Senate on a partisan vote. The House vote was 50-47. If this bill gets out of here, it's got to go to Senate Finance. This is the bill, you will recall, that says that when you're locked out, you can collect unemployment insurance.
Yeah.
So move we report, or refer to finance, report and refer.
Okay, okay. A motion and a second to report and re-refer to finance. Unless there are alternative motions, please open the roll.
Ayes 9, noes 5.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
Okay, now we've got Delegate Reeser, who's got Bill 1402 is identical to Senate Bill 660 from Delegate Carol Foy that passed out of here 14-0 and passed out of the Senate 40-0. This does not have to go to finance if it passes. This is the bill, you will recall, that has to do with setting some punishments in place for pharmacy benefit managers. Okay. A motion to report and a second. Unless there are alternative motions, please open the roll. Okay.
Ayes 15-0.
Ayes 15-0. Now we've got bills that are similar to the Senate bills. Senator Maldonado is 692, which is similar to 174 from Delegate Favola, or for Senator Favola. And both bills got out of their respective bodies unanimously. The question is, what are the differences between the two bills? Okay. Would you like?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I just want to, there's been a lot of conversation around the iterations of this bill, and I just will say that this bill was brought to us because a Navy veteran resident of Virginia was scammed out of $3.6 million of his hard-earned savings. And what this bill does is pulls from the federal level the Senior Safe Act and adds additional protections in place. It includes a trusted contact. It directs the Bureau of Financial Institutions for the State Corporation Commission to issue policy guidelines to help guide financial institutions on how to create training that detects, prevents, mitigates elder financial exploitation. This bill does not require the financial institutions to do anything. What it says, very much like the federal law, with the additional provisions, it is a carrot that says if you do these things, if you train your people, if you report to the appropriate places, if you have a trusted person that the bank can contact or the credit union can contact if there's reasonable suspicion that there is exploitation. If you do all of these things, that just like at the federal level, you're going to receive immunity from civil and administrative penalties. That part's not new. That's just in alignment with federal law. But we want to make sure that we're adding adding additional elements to the federal pieces that helps Virginia stay whole, and at the same time allows for our financial regulatory agencies to make sure we're still studying this and we're putting in more guardrails and guidance so that we can get it right.
You know, we did get some correspondence about this bill that was concerned that the bill had been watered down. I never heard anything about Senator Favola's bill.
Yes. So, Mr. Chair, so we really would love, in a perfect world, for this all to be mandatory, for them to be mandatory reporting. What this bill does, though, at least gives breadth and scope for financial institutions to create guidelines and guardrails. And if they do engage in these steps, they will then have the benefit of immunity. What I will say is that early on, several years ago, before the Senior Safe Act was enacted, there was a movement to try and get mandatory reporting. As we've worked on it since last session, AARP is on board and supports, VPLC supports, the credit union support, bankers support. So we found really all the voices to come in that were working on with us since last year to find the great foundation that then leads to the policy guidance that's going to be issued by the Bureau of Financial Institutions. But certainly, in case you're not aware, conservative estimates suggest that this problem is a $3.5 billion a year issue. We think that's conservative because a lot of people are ashamed and don't report, but we need to have some additional guardrails in place as we begin to have the Bureau of Financial Institutions move things forward.
Tom, maybe could you tell us the differences between this and Senator Favola's bill? Sarah? Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, in addition to the provisions of Senator Favola's SB 174, HB 692 also permits a financial institution to conduct a training to instruct its staff on identifying and reporting suspected financial exploitation of an elderly or vulnerable adult. It directs the Bureau of Financial Institutions of the SEC to develop and publish guidelines for that training by January 1st, 2026. And then there's the same as Senator Favola's in that both bills protect financial institutions that have complied with the provisions of the bill from civil or administrative liability.
And there is, Mr. Chair, is also an amendment that we both agreed to that was put in as a result of our conversations with Virginia Poverty Law Center on line 30. That perhaps clerk could read or lawyer could read. I spoke with Senator Favola on Friday, and her bill was a little different from mine in the beginning. It just primarily focused on the trusted contact provisions. After speaking on Friday, she submitted a substitute, so it replicated my bill in full. So they should be identical.
There's an amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Report
Delegate
that,
Maldonado. Please. The amendment is on line 30 of the engrossed bill after member, insert, except that a financial institution shall only contact such reasonably associated person if such financial institution is unable to contact any of the other permitted recipients listed in this subdivision and the elderly or vulnerable adult is unable to designate a trusted contact. Thank you.
Do you understand the amendment? Do I have a motion on that amendment?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you and Senator Favola are continuing to work together to try to blend your bills?
My understanding, Mr. Chair, is that they actually do conform, that they are the same as of our conversation on Friday. She said she's submitted a request for a substitute for her bill, so when it comes over to the House, that her bill will look exactly like mine.
Like yours, and it'll have that amendment we just adopted?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Are there people that want to speak in favor of this bill?
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Jared Calfee, AARP Virginia. We do support the bill. Want to thank the patron for all of her work with many stakeholders
Hold on a second.
this.
Are you all lining up in for it, or? Okay. Two minutes to side up, because I think is there anybody against the bill? I got a note from somebody that said the bill wasn't strong enough. I know there's somebody online. I knew that, yes. Okay. They're going to be against it, so but you can speak.
I'll just say we support the bill, appreciate all the patrons' work on it, and to her point, I spoke with Senator Favola this morning. The main difference, as was laid out, is the training language. We support that language. Senator Favola plans to put that into her bill, so they will be identical, and we'd urge the committee to move it along in its current form.
And the other groups that stood up represent the banking groups, is that correct? Okay. Yes, ma'am. The people online that. I think you, Ms. Strandl, you don't think the bill is strong enough. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Julie Strandley. I reside in Fairfax County. Senator Marsden is my senator. I'm a Virginia lawyer and community leader. I served 13 years as the American Bar Association's lobbyist for legal aid and civil rights. I also served on the Fairfax County Planning Commission for 8 years. And I'm the only child and caregiver for my mother, Jean, who is a 90-year-old victim of financial exploitation. She was 86 in 2020 when she lost her life savings to international tech support cyber criminals. Had the Virginia banks and credit unions followed the available law, her losses would have been limited. I want to thank Delegate Maldonado for filing the original bill following the devastating financial losses incurred by her family friend, Larry. I am testifying in opposition to the HB 692 substitute. In my opinion, it would be a serious mistake and harmful to vulnerable Virginians to enact HB 692 in its current form. HB 692 started by requiring the banks to act. The version of HB 692 before you doesn't require the banks to do anything. In exchange for doing something or doing nothing, there are 3 separate and distinct lines granting liability waivers to the banks. Permissive action and liability waivers are collectively unacceptable. AARP's financial fraud expert, Kathy Stokes, believes nothing will change until the banks have a stake. She contends the problems will persist until financial institutions share liability for financial exploitation, and victims are no longer blamed, which is exactly what the Senate Credit Union CEO did to my mom. Kathy said banks are really good at realizing a fraudulent transaction on a credit card or debit card because it's their loss. She says, as long as the financial institution bears no responsibility for somebody who loses all their money because they were coerced, it will never change, and people will continue to lose their money. Stopping cybercrime is a complex issue. Time is of the essence. Today, I ask you to consider alternatives to approving HB 692. Carry it over, offer substitute language removing the liability waivers, or require mandatory training. And I strongly urge Virginia to create a Justice for Jean study group, which would bring all stakeholders, including law enforcement, to the table to come up with real, not patchwork solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
At the last word.
Is that all? One more? We've got one more.
Janine Williamson, please unmute your mic and turn your camera on.
I believe she had a technical issue last time as well.
Right there.
Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. Please.
Actually, I want to thank Delegate Maldonado for her work. I do believe as a 33-year financial services employee, that's why I've had the training. I just did training last month as a bank brokerage financial services employee. That's why I'm aware of the rules. That's why I'm aware of the huge gap of what needs to happen, of what would be ideal. I do love the presenter before me with the idea of a circuit breaker. We do know employees, we do know their situations, we do know when someone is not acting as they usually do, and that there is a risk of exploitation. We all know it as employees, and to have that circuit breaker be the law to stop and take the human element out of allowing these dollars to leave this country to areas that are not regulated, that are written about in your neighborhood, of areas that Russia plays, that China plays, and that North Korea plays. We've got to have a start. This is the start. We've got miles to go. This population with the wealth is the target. The U.S. Secret Service agents that I have that have been in my home, that I have overseas, that have moved their family because of my uncle's case, are desperate for help. Desperate for help. They can do nothing. They can't even have a voice. It is so out of control that these criminals have outsmarted all of us because of technology, because our older population is forced to use technology. They are so overwhelmed. And until there is a beginning.
So I take it you're for this bill. You think this bill's the beginning.
Absolutely. We're
Okay.
so behind the curve, folks.
Thank you very much. Really, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay. Do you want to finish up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say a couple of things. One, that was Ms. Janine, who is the family that brought this bill forward, because it was Larry Cook, our naval officer, who was scammed out of $3.6 million, a Virginia resident. This is a good start. The other thing I just want to note is that it was raised that it gives immunity and that for nothing, but that's not a new thing. That already exists in federal law. So we didn't create that with this bill. We just added more wraparound and additional requirements beyond what the federal law currently requires.
And you're certainly, over the course of time, over the course of next year, you're willing to work with the lady that was upset,
Absolutely.
Ms. Strandl, and
I've
see if there's a way
communicated
to
that.
strengthen this bill. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've heard you've heard the bill. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Okay. Are there other motions? If not, please open the roll. Okay, thank you very much.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The next
Members.
bill is House Bill 819 from Delegate Munden King. Now, this bill is similar to one that Senator Hashmi introduced, 238. And my understanding is the way this bill is drafted right now would have to go from here to HERC. Would you be all right with us making this like Senator Hashmi's?
Yes, absolutely. It should be with staff to amend this bill to.
Okay, move to conform it to Senator Hashmi's 238, which passed out of this committee on an 8-6 vote, out of Senate Finance on a 10-5 vote, and out of the Senate on a 24-15 vote. So motion and a second to conform the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It'll need to go to Finance if it's reported.
Second.
Okay, is there an additional motion? If not, please open the roll. Okay, thank you, Delegate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
The next bill is House Bill 906 from Delegate Shin. It's similar to Senate Bill 480 from Senator Aird. Okay, we're going to want to hear from you. And Senator Aird's bill got out of here on a unanimous vote, got out of Senate Finance on a unanimous vote, and got off the Senate floor unanimously. But Delegate Shin wants to.
I just want to make a couple of amendments. I believe that there is a substitute that's been prepared as well as an amendment to the substitute. And really these amendments just gets us the House bill pretty much in alignment with the Senate bill, and also has two clarifying provisions that gets us peace in the valley with all of the stakeholders.
Okay. So this bill conforms to the Senate bill, the substitute,
That's
And
correct.
has some clarifying amendments.
Correct. And the clarifying amendments will also be taken up in the House. And
And they'll be added on the House side?
Yes.
Okay, do I have, okay, is there a second on the substitute? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the substitute's for the committee. This has to do with just cutting off,
Mr. Chair, there's also an amendment to the substitute.
okay. Tell me, report the amendment, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Delegate Shin. The amendments are on lines 53 and on line 105. After the word by, strike the remainder of that line and the following line, and insert by using at least two of the following methods: mail, email, text message, phone call, or door hanger. Thank you.
And to explain a little further, it just gives utilities the opportunity to choose 2 of the 5 options for notifying their customers before disconnecting for non-payment.
Okay, does everybody understand the amendment? Is there a motion? Okay,
Second.
a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Obenshain, do you still have something?
Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, I was going to ask, it looks like 15.2, 21.21.3D is changed in your substitute. Essentially, eliminate or to confine the persons eligible to low income and once every 3 years to
That's correct.
kind of avoid replicating the payday lending cycle trap that I think the original version was going to set up. So if that's the case, I think that's a very good change.
Oh, thank you, Senator Obenshain.
Senator Steph had a question.
Mr. Chairman, my question was regarding, I guess, the same section in Section D, lines 60 through 64. And I believe it was Senator Favola had the similar bill. That was not included, or that was struck out of her bill in this committee the last time. So I was just,
Mr. Chair,
when we
if I could
move
ask
this
to-
forward, they're
what
either
that
going to
section
look
was
the same
again?
or they're not.
Ma'am?
Would the member, or did the senator repeat which section that was
It's
in?
60 through 64, it's section D.
This thing's better.
I think this is better.
Was section D struck out of the Hashmi bill?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, that section D was not originally included in SB 480 by Senator Aird.
Senator Aird, I apologize.
Mr. Chair, if I may. That piece of it is actually in the House version that came out of the House. We wanted to make sure that we were allowing folks who were falling behind on their bills the opportunity to be reconnected without necessarily having the high burden of paying upfront $700 to $800 or $900 immediately in order to get restored. And so, but that was a concern about some of the cycles of continuing to accrue debt that folks raised for me. And so this really just, that section D really just narrows it to customers who are eligible for LIHEAP and clarifies for which program they might be able to use that provision. It also only says that a person can use that once every 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
That's correct.
Senator Steph, does that answer your concern?
Mr. Chairman, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the committee? Do you want to wrap it up, or?
No,
Well, have we heard from people? Okay. Tom, do you want to, are you for or against?
Well, against one provision.
Okay. Come on up. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Tom Dick with the Municipal Electric Power Association of Virginia. We have, on behalf of 16 government-owned electric utilities, and I think the notice provision, if I understand it, I think it addressed one of the concerns, but they still is a concern of our members. The provision dealing with limiting disconnections to 60 days, at least 60 days of arrearages before you can disconnect, and the practical effect of that is that you would have a customer who could have 4 months of energy consumption before you could disconnect them, and municipal electrics were not really comfortable with that kind of exposure. We've got Radford and Harrisonburg, two college towns, and a lot of transients, a lot of renters in that area, and some of them do not stick around. And so
Okay,
there
now
were.
you're talking about the language on line 56.
I'm not sure what
We
that line
changed
is.
it was changed from 45 days to 60.
Well, it was, yeah, we had preferred 45 days to.
And then over on line 108, it talks about 60 days as well.
Well, the local local governments are in the first half of the bill, and then regulated utilities are in the second half of the bill. And we were just, I had hoped that we could work something out on and it turns out we weren't able to on the local government side, but we prefer 45 days to 60 days on that notice, or on that disconnection.
Okay, Delegate Chin, what do you think about that?
And Senator Aaron's version, Mr. Chairman, came out with 60 days of both the municipalities as well as for the jurisdictional. So this just brings it into standardized guidelines for all utility providers, whether they're municipal or jurisdictional.
Okay, well, everybody else lined up for it too? Are you for it or against it? For it? Okay.
Anyway, that was the extent. I mean, our concern was that, that was a lot of time and a lot of money and worry about the arrearage and default, and there's no money in the appropriation bill to offset any losses that there might be because of that extended, of doubling the time for before you can disconnect. So that was the big concern.
You acknowledge we've already sent it out of here with 60 days.
I do know that, and we didn't speak to it then because there were other elements of the bill that we preferred over the House bill, and I think the House bill's conformed to some of that.
Okay, I think Senator Obenshane had something. Well, Senator McPike then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the gentleman not agree that localities would also then take on the responsibility of warming and cooling shelters and the expense thereof?
Mr. Chairman, I said yes.
Okay, well,
thank you.
The bill's got to go to finance, and so the discussion will continue. There's a motion to report in the second. Unless there are additional motions, please open the roll. Okay, the bill was report and refer to finance.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Okay, the next is House Bill 990 from Delegate Maldonado. And I apologize for jumping up and down. I'm just trying to go in the order. This is a bill that is similar to a bill that Jennifer Boysko had over here, 370. It passed out of this committee on a 9-6 vote. I assume that's partisan. And out of the Senate Finance Committee, 10-5. And then something happened to it between finance and the floor because it passed on the floor 40-0. So what's different between your bill and this bill? You will recall prohibits employers from seeking salary history of prospective employees.
2119.
2119. So it's wrong. Okay, 2119.
Thank you, Tom.
So nothing changed. I apologize. So what's different between this bill and Senator Boysko's bill?
Mr. Chair, it's a House cognate. They are the exact same. Passed the House 5147.
Tom says they're different.
Mr. Chair, Delegate Maldonado, the Senate Finance Committee took out the Commissioner's authority to enforce and provide for civil penalties, so the version that passed the Senate only includes a private cause of action.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to roll that in, to have that as part of, as amendment to this.
Move to conform. Okay, motion to conform and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? The bill's before you. Are there people that need to speak on this bill? For or against? Then no, it doesn't have to go to finance. So what? Motion to report, is there a second? All in favor, open the roll, please, unless there's an alternative motion. Okay, the next, thank you, Delegate. The next bill is
Ayes 9, no 6.
from Delegate Willett, House Bill 1062, that is identical to Senate Bill, or similar to Senate Bill 271 from Senator Subramanian. 1062, let's see. Okay, it was a net metering bill. It passed 9-6 here. It passed off the Senate floor 2218. There's some technical differences, I understand, but I understand that you all got it right where we didn't. Is that correct?
Happen, Mr. Chairman?
How could that happen? I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody's been drinking, I guess. Okay. Does anybody need to talk about this bill? Do I have a motion then? Okay. All in favor, unless there's a alternative motion, please open the roll.
Ayes 9, no 6.
Okay, ayes 9, no 6. Now we are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The bill reports. Now we're into the House bills that we haven't seen before, and the first one on the list is Delegate Sickles. Delegate Sickles, 591.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a little bit of a technical bill. You might remember that we've started a reinsurance program. The first time we went through it, the target for the Bureau of Insurance to give to the carriers was a premium reduction of 15%. That went through when they were seeking the rates for the next round. After that, they told them they weren't sure what the General Assembly's target reduction would be on the premiums, and so it held up. It made the front page of the RTD. They took some testimony from carriers, and the price went up 20% on their estimated premiums. Now, this, remember, is only for the individual market. There's 400,000 Virginians now that buy their insurance on the individual market. Most of them have a subsidy to buy the premium down, and the government, federal government, will help us. We will bring down about 5-to-1 revenues doing this. But what this bill does, it just says if they don't hear from the General Assembly, they're going to use the same target they used last year to take the uncertainty out of it. And there are probably people who can talk to it more intelligently than me that are here, but it is a bit of a technical amendment.
And this basically assists people in the situation like we had last year where a budget's delayed. Is that correct?
Kind of. It could happen with the budget on time, too.
Okay.
But it really takes the uncertainty out of it. The Bureau of Insurance wanted to hear from the General Assembly on how much we wanted to spend on this, because we could target a 20% reduction in the individual rate. We could do it higher than that, but it would cost us more money after the 2 years are over. So what happens with reinsurance is that, and the reason the premiums come down for everybody is there's an attachment point when an individual spends, when their health care costs go over a certain amount, the reinsurance fund takes over. And since that risk is taken away from the carriers, the premiums go down. That's what we're buying for people who, especially young people who have in the gig economy where we want them to buy insurance and we want to make it affordable for people. And it's actually working. We have more people buying in the individual market than ever. We just went up 40%, partly due to our new exchange, the Virginia Exchange. We replaced healthcare.gov with our own exchange, and this happened kind of at the same time. But you might want to hear from experts that are here.
Well, I see Mr. Gray over here, and I assume that he's got something to say about it.
Yes, he does.
Mr. Chairman, Doug Gray on behalf of the Virginia Association of Health Plans. This is a really important piece of legislation. When we didn't have guidance to the Bureau, we were on the edge, 2 weeks away from the point of no return, and the increases were more than 20%. They were 25%. We gained 20% when we implemented the program in terms of enrollment. We would have lost that 20% gain and probably a little bit more. Instead of breaking 400,000, which is what we did this year with the new exchange, we probably would have been at 300. So it's a big deal, and this guidance needs to be consistent. The reason why it needs to be consistent is that the actual cost doesn't show up for the current year until 2 years out, because it takes that much time to square the books.
Okay, are there those in the audience who are opposed to this bill? We got a motion. Is there a second? Got a motion. Second motion has to go to Senate Finance. Yeah. Okay, motion and a second to report and refer to Finance. Unless there's an alternative motion, please open the roll.
Ayes 15, no 0.
You're a powerful man.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be here still.
Mark Sickles, yeah. Happy birthday. Everybody sing.
Happy birthday to you.
Okay. Delegate McQuinn, House Bill 238.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
Members of the committee. I have before you the colorectal cancer screening bill, House Bill 238. And what I'm bringing before you today is asking that we would look favorably upon this. Colorectal cancer is one of the few cancers that can be prevented through screening, yet it remains the second leading cause of death in men and women combined in our country. And so today we're asking that based on other guidelines that we will require health insurers to provide coverage for examination and laboratory tests related to colorectal cancer screening in accordance with the American Cancer Society. The bill prohibits, first of all, coverage from being subject to any deductible or co-insurance or any other cost-sharing requirement for services received for participation and for the providers. And then at number 2, it provides that an initial screening test is not complete until a follow-up colonoscopy is performed. And the provision of the bill applies to individual groups or individual or group accident and sickness insurance policy. And so, Mr. Chair, in a nutshell, this is the bill that I'm presenting today.
My understanding, Delegate McQuinn, is this bill was amended in the House to basically mirror federal law, and so it won't have to go to the HERC.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody opposed to this bill? Well, one will just tell us who, identify yourself, and if you represent a group, we'll not acknowledge that you favor the bill.
Corey Chandler, please unmute your mic and turn your camera on.
Hey, Senator, this is Cindy.
Did you want me to begin?
Corey Chandler, please provide your testimony.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you all today. My name's Corey Chandler. I'm with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. I first just wanted to thank Delegate McQuinn for her commitment to this important issue. So she's already stated the importance of colorectal cancer screening, but I just wanted to emphasize that colorectal cancer often starts with no symptoms at all, and as she mentioned, nearly all colorectal cancers are preventable. But we also know that financial concerns are one of the top barriers to colorectal cancer screenings. Unfortunately, the current standard of coverage is being threatened by ongoing legal battles, so we strongly support this legislation that would codify coverage without cost sharing in law to ensure that Virginians have access to this critical.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The bill passed out of committee in the House unanimously, passed out of the House unanimously. Is there a motion? There was a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Unless there are additional motions, I'd ask you to open the roll. Okay, thank you, Delegate. I'm sorry you had to wait so long.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Ayes 15-0.
Delegate Sabold, you have two bills.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, which one would you like for me to do first?
Whichever one you'd like. Is 100? I mean, you want to do them in order, numerical order, or
sure,
whatever's easier for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. HB 100, start there, increases the civil penalty for child labor violations that result in the employment and subsequent injury or death of a child in the course of that employment from $10,000 to $25,000, and increases the maximum for any other violation from $1,000 to $2,500. It also sets out a stakeholder group to create initiatives that will help children understand their rights.
And the work group is the part that I got some problems with, because my understanding is that over on your side, they're killing all the work groups that we're sending over. So we might have a problem with that. Tom, do you have a technical amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just the work group, it's a shall convene a stakeholder work group consisting of child employees. That should read of parents or legal guardians of child employees.
Okay, do I have a motion on that technical amendment?
So moved. Second.
We certainly don't mean any harm to your bill, but we're going to have to get that work group thing figured out between the House and the Senate.
Right, Mr. Chair. The work group, is that something that?
Please, did I call for a vote? Okay, all in favor of adopting that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. If the bill's going to be reported, it's got to go to Senate Finance. Are there those in the audience who want to be heard on this bill? Okay. I think there is somebody. On 100? Come on up. Are you for it or against it?
We're in support, Chairperson. Jason Hatcher with Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. Alongside widespread media reporting, publicly available federal investigations on child labor violations across the U.S., the Virginia Interfaith Center submitted a FOIA request for all Virginia-based child labor violations from 2020 to early 2023. That resulting request was 539 pages long. We have a growing problem in Virginia, and one of the crucial ways that we can begin to stem the tide of this issue is to raise our civil monetary penalties so that they actually act as economic disincentives and thereby increase deterrence. HB 100 does just that, and so we urge your support.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Are you for it? Okay. Do you just want to identify your group? Okay. Identify
Jason
yourself.
Parker of Jane State Building Construction Trades Council. We support.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, committee. Kayla Mock with United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 400. We are in strong support of this bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Dr. Emily N. I support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lou Spencer, Virginia Building Trades. We support the bill.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody that's got another view? Well, if the bill is reported, it's got to go to finance, and we'll have to get the work group thing figured out.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to rework that section. We offered that as a solution.
I think it's perfect. It's a good solution. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But just the larger issue is when they're attached to our bills, they're not advancing over there.
Right.
And we've got to figure that out.
Right. I'm happy to create a mandate. We did this as a way to get the community involved. But if we're going to create additional fines,
I think it makes good sense. Okay. Yeah. I need a motion to report and re-refer to finance. Okay, unless there's an alternative motion, I'd ask you to open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Okay, you've got another bill, and that one is 160.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, HB 160 is a bill supported by the Department of Veteran Services. It will commission the Department of Labor and Industry in close consultation with the Department of Veteran Services to create and make available a workplace poster as a way to increase access for veterans to their benefits and services. And this poster will include educational, workforce, and training resources, tax benefits, unemployment insurance, legal services, substance abuse, and mental health treatment services, and the Veterans Crisis Line. So I hope that you would support that.
Tom, didn't we have a poster bill over here? A Senate bill? We did not? Not this poster. Okay, not this poster. Okay, are there questions from the committee? Are there people in the audience who would like to speak for or against the bill? Come on up.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Senators. Milton D. Bates, Local 8888. And I just want to talk about the bill some. First thing, there's a lot of veterans that's coming out of the service. A lot of them have injuries that's unseen. And this poster would greatly affect their needs to get service from the VA. And also, too, a lot of them, like I was saying, suffer from mental anxiety and stuff like that. So I am definitely in support of this bill.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Next.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee board. Yes, I'm from Local 8888, also steel workers. And we are in support of this bill due to the fact that there are many of our military people that transition into the civilian world. We also have a lot, us doing the work that we do, we have a lot in there. Putting this poster out will reconnect those people that has came out of the military and went into the civilian world, letting them know that you still have some services through the military that you can use, and that it'll show that the companies are in support of the veterans, in which we are also trying to get the veterans into the civil world.
Thank you very much, sir. Next.
Good afternoon, Celeste Armstrong, United Steelworkers, Local 8888, and we're in strong support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason Parker on behalf of the Virginia AFL-CIO. We support.
Okay, thank you.
Lou Spencer, Virginia Building Trades. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we've got a motion to report. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to report. Unless there are other motions, I'd ask you to open the roll. Okay, thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Ayes 15, no 0.
That's 15-0. Delegate Delaney, you're next. Delegate Delaney's got Senate Bill 770. And that was one that came out of the other side on a fairly close vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So House Bill 770 clarifies the retaliatory action statute to ensure it functions more similarly to the rest of the Virginia Code. So there's three main sections. Number one, the statute, as currently written, requires a person bringing a civil action in a court of competent jurisdiction within 1 year of the employer's prohibited retaliatory action. However, the feedback we're receiving is that courts are currently interpreting that 1 year statute of limitation to start at the occurrence of threat of action and not the action itself. So by adding the word final to the code, we can ensure that the clock for the statute of limitation starts at the actual occurrence of the illegal action and does not restrict anyone who would otherwise qualify for relief. The second part of this bill clarifies that a court or jury may award restitution for damages. Because of how the statute is currently written and by leaving juries out of the code, courts are finding that juries are not legally qualified to hear these cases, which is out of step with the way Virginia currently handles other similar matters. And finally, this bill would allow treble damages to be awarded when employers are found to have willfully violated the law. This addition would give the current statute teeth and deter employers from making willful violations of the law. So to summarize, the current retaliatory action statute is missing several key elements to properly deter and address employees taking retaliatory action against their employees, and this bill will address those discrepancies, conform this section to the way Virginia handles other similar matters, and creates a more fair system for employees facing unjust action from their employers.
Tom, we didn't have a bill like this, a treble damages bill? I thought we had the timber trespass. Provides treble damages. I guess it's provided in a couple other places in the code. Does the committee understand the bill? Do you have questions? Are there those in the audience who want to speak in favor or in opposition to the bill?
Consumer Protection Act.
Okay, there's somebody racing to the front.
Hello, my name is Dr. Emily N. I am not currently employed by any organization as a lobbyist. Illegal workplace retaliation is a pernicious problem. After a worker acts with courage and conviction and reports illegal discrimination, they should have the protections of the Virginia Whistleblower Protection Act. The reporting timeline expanding the timeline is absolutely necessary. Currently, a worker being continuously retaliated against can run out their entire timeline before they're even terminated. You have an opportunity today to do what Obama did for the Equal Pay Act when he passed the Ledbetter Act and expanded the timelines. So this is analogous. As someone who has personally experienced workplace retaliation after reporting illegal gender discrimination in violation of the Virginia Equal Pay Act, I can say that fighting retaliation, even when you are a member of a union, is a David and Goliath endeavor. The individual incurs all kinds of personal costs as well as losses, some which are difficult to be monetized. So the ability to award treble damages is appropriate. I hope you take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Okay, the bill's before the committee, and it does not have to go to finance. It does not. Okay. Senator McDougall.
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to talk about the treble damages a little bit more before we get there. I mean, that's 3 times whatever the damages is, and we don't do that anywhere else in Virginia?
It's in timber trespass. If I go onto your land and cut your trees, and I'm committing trespass, and there's a way to determine the value of those trees. You can get three times the value of the trees from me, and 3 times the damage of any, or the value of any damage I do to your land to get the trees.
So,
That's the only place I
Mr.
know.
Chairman, so if my loblolly pine was worth $100, you could get $300 for my tree.
Yes, I could. You could get $300 if I cut your tree.
And Mr. Chairman, and that's
Senator McDougal.
And that's the only example in Virginia where we use treble damage.
That's the only place that I know of it, but I mean, there might be better lawyers than me, and there certainly are.
No,
So-
you don't get trouble.
Bad faith where we talked about it. Okay, Senator McDougal.
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily have a problem with the final prohibited regulatory act. That is some logic to that, but the treble damages, I'm going to move to.
Okay, is the motion to report withdrawn so he can have a motion to change? Okay. And what would you change that to, Senator McDougal?
Double.
Double? Change triple to double. Would that be all right?
I'll take double.
You'll take double. Okay. We got that motion. Is there a second on that amendment? Okay, second. All in favor of that amendment, say aye. Okay, now the bill's before you. Move. 500. Okay, is there a second on the motion to report? Okay, unless there are other motions, please open the roll. Come on, McDougal, you didn't even vote for it. Look at that. That's an Indian giver.
Oh, watch out. Not allowed to say that anymore.
Okay.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee.
Canceled for that.
Get canceled for that. Okay, next on the list, Delegate Maldonado. We've made you get up and down, and I apologize for that. Now, you've got House Bill 987.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This one, HB 987, is a proton radiation therapy bill. It helps to clarify that insurance coverage for cancer treatment must not impose stricter clinical evidence standards for proton beam therapy than for other radiation therapies. It makes it clear that carriers may consider accepting Medicare, Medicaid, and other governmental health coverage for proton therapy, or a patient's and also consider a patient's physician's recommendation as sufficient evidence to cover the justification. Does not mandate, once again, and this was also supported in an opinion by the Attorney General in December that spoke specifically to this, saying that if carriers deny coverage based on a higher standard, then they'll be in violation of Virginia code. That is one of Virginia's laws on the insurance for accident or sickness, and defines proton radiation therapy as the advanced form of radiation therapy treatment that utilizes protons as an alternative radiation delivery method. This bill passed out of the House 100 to nothing.
It's my understanding it's close to a bill that Delegate Kilgore had last year that's now undergoing a step 2 analysis from at the HERC. So what's different about this bill from Kilgore's bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was a chief co-patron on that bill last year. So HERC is in need of some work, and there haven't been deadlines on when they have to finish their studies. And so what we're trying to do in the meantime, when they issue their recommendations, is one thing that people agreed on universally was that it was okay to clarify in the meantime that it is permissible for folks to consider this as a viable form of treatment. The reason it went to HERC is because it was mandatory. It was shall.
Okay, and this is permissive.
Correct.
It's not mandatory.
That's correct.
And that's the difference. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator McDougal.
If I look at the online, I'm having a little trouble with, did it get introduced as a mandatory and got amended to a, so?
Mr. Chair, I would say to the senator, yes, that in committee, we made the amendment in the bill presentation.
Mr. Chairman, I would say if we move it out of here as a may, maybe we could get some guarantee that it's not going to come back as a shall.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if the senator could repeat his...
If it got out of the House permissive, I assume that change was made in the House committee. What he wants is a guarantee that you're not going to try to change it back to a shell if we send it back to the House.
Mr. Chair, I would say yes, that is correct. We are not looking to make any additional changes to this bill. In good faith, I will commit to that. What we are waiting for to see, the reason it had to go to HERC was not only because it was mandatory when it was sent there, but also to see what the cost implications might be if HERC determines that it would do so. But this bill is meant to be clarifying language so that people understand that it is possible and that it is something that would be eligible.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, the bills before the committee. Are there those in the audience who would? It has to go to finance if it reports from here. But are there those in the audience who feel compelled to speak to this bill? Okay, motion to report and re-refer to finance has been seconded. Unless there are alternative motions, please open the roll. Okay. Thank you, Delegate. I'm sorry you had to wait.
Thank you, Mr.
Delegate
Chair.
Henson, you've been very gracious to wait this long, and I apologize for that.
You're fine.
Okay, Delegate Henson, if I can find my sheet again, you've got House Bill 569.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, House Bill 569 requires employers or an employer's designee to notify employees in writing of their right to file a charge of discrimination with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission or the Office of the Attorney General within 300 days after an alleged unlawful discriminatory practice has occurred. Mr. Chair, House Bill 569 does have an exception for small businesses that employs less than 10 employees. And Mr. Chair, I urge the committee to support this bill.
Less than 10 employees, that's basically how you're defining a small business.
Correct.
Okay. Tom, you think you have a bill or have a technical amendment, technical substitute, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I spoke with the delegate briefly beforehand. It's just the way the bill reads now, it would require an employer to provide the notice to all its employees upon receipt of an employee complaint. I believe the delegate's intent is just to that. The employee who's regarding the complaint.
Okay. Motion and a second to adopt the amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the bill's been amended. Does the committee understand the bill? Do you have any questions? Are there those in the audience who would like to speak to the bill? Plus, for or against? Are there those online? Okay, it does not have to go to finance. So there's been a motion and a second to report the bill. Open the roll unless there's an alternative motion.
Ayes 9, no 6.
Ayes 9, no 6. Congratulations, Delegate Henson.
Thank you.
Okay, the only other bills I've got on here are two bills that come from Delegate Sullivan, and it looks like the bills got out of the House with no opposition. Are they bills we can take up? House Bill 124. Tom, do you think can you help explain that bill? Do you think there's any if any of them run into trouble?
Mr. Chair, I believe that bill came from the State Corporation Commission. Maybe if they're here, they could.
That's the State Corporation Commission bill permits a person authorized by a domestic or foreign stock or non-stock corporation to sign the annual report of such corporation for purposes as a request of the State Corporation Commission. Move to report in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. I apologize.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Okay, then we've got House Bill 595. Okay, we'll explain it, please.
Mr. Chair, after speaking with some folks who know more than I, it was pointed out to me that the language in the delegate's bill would be better as a new subsection. So it would be in the same section of code, same language, just as a new subsection.
Okay, move the substitute. Okay, motion and a second to adopt the substitutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we've got a substitute. Explain exactly what the bill does, please, Tom.
And Mr. Chair, it authorizes the plan sponsor of a health benefit plan, including dental, to agree on behalf of the party enrolled to conduct business by electronic means, provided that Everyone agrees, and they've confirmed the party routinely uses electronic communication during the normal course of employment.
Does anybody have any questions? Is there anyone in the audience who's compelled to speak for or against this bill? Okay, Doug Gray likes it. Health plans. Okay. There are conflicting motions down here. Who was first and who was the substitute motion? Okay, move to report. Is there a second? Okay, but a motion and a second, less there's an alternative motion. Please open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Okay, I think that clears our docket. So, see you all next week. Same time, same station. How many? Well, we were trying to.
Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.